Hello and welcome to our Project 6 final project. And this is the individual talk for the technical people on one major aspect of our um, planning poker prototype along with Everlogger. And today I will be going over aspects of the first round of the planning poker, as well as how the poker tables work. Because if you look at the team video, you'll see that our code runs two separate applications, like two different types of applications within the same application. It's the effort logger side and the planning poker side. So today I'll be talking about the planning poker side of our application and how it kind of like interweaves with the effort logger, how it differs, what the code looks like, how it like operates, what the architecture is, how it describes our vision for the project, the design of it, and of course the implementation. And I'll talk about how this affects the quality of the product. So let me share my screen over here. Okay, so this let's bring it up here. So what we have here is just the code of the first round playing poker. I kind of copied the code into this like document so that it color codes, so it's easier to look at. Um, so what we have here is the first round of playing poker, and we have the initialize function, which calls the database, and um, it retrieves data from it. So anytime we start the first round of playing poker, we get data and we put it into the application. And then over here, we have ways to select um, elements from the choice box. We have ways to remove items. We have a way to generate stories based on the information of the the data in the data set, um, how many things to remove and add, and then it generates story points. So you see here we have a calculation to like calculate the number of story points. And then over here, when we press the next round for like the planning poker has a button for next round. And what it does is that um it loads the page for next round of playing poker. So you see over here, see how we load a new page for the second playing poker round. If you look into our group our group recording, you'll see that this populates like another table of cards to play. Um, so basically, it kind of like repeats the rounds until the user is done. And then we have a thing to return to start. Once the person is done with the planning poker, it returns to start. All the data is saved, and it restarts back to the beginning screen. So it's like the state back to the start. So overall, relatively straightforward functionality. The idea is that we want to simulate playing poker as if it was in real life. So our visual design resembles an actual poker table. And this is the functionality um, to create such a thing. And we also have a poker controller and a poker table controller. So if we look over here, we have many ways to select cards. And then over here, this is how we like display the poker table. So specifically, what's going on here, we have a try catch statement for the initialize. This is in case if the database isn't like if we don't secure a connection with the database, we want to make sure that we handle this error correctly without crashing the application. So what we do is we try to execute queries, and then if there's an exception, if there's an error, we print the stack trace and we tell the user that there's an error. And then another thing here, when we remove items, we want to make sure that we don't remove from a list that's empty. We don't want to call a remove command on a list that has nothing, because that would result in removing nothing, which is a no exception error. So we have this thing to protect us from something like that, so that the application doesn't just crash on the user if they do unintended usage of the application. We also, well, most of our code is wrapped within try catches, so that we always make sure we assume the worst case scenario, and that way the application doesn't crash on itself when we run it. Because when it comes to applications, the users can do a lot of things, and we have to be prepared for all of those things. We prepare for the worst case scenarios. And so how this relates to like the requirements, one big thing about this project is that we should focus on cybersecurity and safety. Our excessive usage of try statements and knowing where places can be empty, and focusing on protecting those kinds of user interactions, that is a big part of the cybersecurity focus that we want to handle. If a malicious attacker were able to do something like crash the program immediately through a sequence of actions that we did not intend for the person to have, that would be very bad. And this also affects the architecture as well. The design is relatively straightforward, and yeah, the implementation is there. You can refer to our group recording on how the application works. And overall, this improves the quality of the effort logger product, because we're able to we're able to have the planning poker process done within effort logger. And that's a very powerful thing to have. Not only does it save time for workers, they don't have to, like, they can quickly simulate through the data they have. They can generate story points, and they can do the agile process of planning poker without like having to cross check in real time the database on what the information is and all that, because it's already there. The data is already inside the effort logger. So it's like a seamless process that it just integrates. It just makes sense to integrate into the effort logger system. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.